Lake St. Louis is a super popular area these days, and we've been getting a lot of questions, especially from the last videos we've done on it. So in this video, Kelly and I are going to talk about the big lake versus the little lake, differences between the neighborhoods you'll see there, the lifestyle you get by living in Lake St. Louis, and a lot of the details of the amenities, the clubhouse, the association, and just the rules in Lake St. Louis between the big lake and the little lake. There's all these little benefits and all these little things that you get from living in the CA, and whether it appeals to you or not, like there's all these things and you just get to kind of pick what you want.
It's a great place to live. When you live in Lake St. Louis and you drive up and down the boulevard, you'll see signs that say, like being on vacation every day. That's how they live their life.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
I'm Jacob. Welcome back to the channel.
Lake St. Louis, when you talk about the community, one city, but actually there are two lakes. So Lake St. Louise, commonly referred to as the small lake, depends on where you look. It's just over 70 acres or so. And then there's Lake St. Louis, which is also more commonly referred to as the big lake.
Whether you're on the big lake or the little lake, your CA membership fee is going to be the same regardless. So right now, the fee is $600 per year if you live within the CA. So for 2023 and 2024, $600. It's going to go up by $50 to $650 in 2025. And that fee is the same wherever you live within the CA, whether you're on the waterfront, if you're not on the waterfront, big lake, little lake, it is the same for every property within the CA limits. So between the big lake and the little lake, you will see a lot of differences between the neighborhoods that are there. You'll see bigger homes, more expensive sales on the big lake, smaller, less expensive homes for the most part on the smaller lake. The big lake, Lake St. Louis, is over 600 acres. This is the one that is more flexible with the rules on it. You can have bigger boats. You can drive faster on the water. So the limit is 40 miles an hour during the day. At night, it drops down to 10 miles an hour. And the small lake is also 10 miles an hour speed limit. And a lot of the waterfronts, especially on the eastern edge of the lake, will be bigger and more expensive on Lake St. Louis. And the school district is also split down the middle of Lake St. Louis. So it's Timberland on the eastern side and it's Holt on the western side of the lake.
Another thing that I think is really interesting is most of the houses on the small lake are just homes on the small lake on the water. There's not real subdivisions. On the big lake, we have the moorings. We have Moorings Estates. We have Key Harbor. We have Ravens Point, Regatta Bay, Eastern Shore, Lake Forest Circle. There's lots of subdivisions. So you might have additional fees as far as your homeowners association in addition to the CA, where you don't find that so much on the small lake. On the big lake, you will have some lots, which some people find very desirable, where they sit up higher. So your view of the lake is looking down. And there are some, especially on the western side of the lake off the Dauphine side, and some on the eastern side where they're a little bit more level. We will see more houses with like swimming pools and things like that on the bigger lake because those lots are larger, but it's not exclusive to the big lake.
Yeah, that's a good point. You'll see a lot more of these hills on the big lake. So you have, like Kelly said, some neighborhoods that are up on the hill, some that are down by the water. Whereas on the smaller lake, a lot of these homes are just level and they're pretty flat. And hey, if you're moving to Lake St. Louis, if you're interested in buying a home, whether it's somewhere on the big lake, the small lake, waterfront, villa, send us an email or send us a text. We'd love to work with you on that. We are a group of realtors. We love helping people find their perfect fit in Lake St. Louis, whether it's on the market or something off market. That is a big deal in Lake St. Louis, especially like you said with the waterfronts. That's our bread and butter. We'd love to help you. So reach out if you want some help.
We'd love to help. I would say some of the other differences is that the larger lake is more of, I don't want to say party, but that's where
busier.
It's busier. It's a little bit busier. It's not busy like Lake of the Ozarks. It is a little bit busier. They have party coves. If you like to socialize and tie up your boat with other boaters, there's Millionaire's Cove. There's Little Party Cove. They do
stuff like that for like the 4th of July.
That's where they have a massive 4th of July fireworks show. It's spectacular. The large lake also has the polar plunge. So every year it's a charitable thing. They raise money and people get, I don't know why. This does not appeal to me at all. In the freezing cold, jump into the lake. But the small lake has some really fun things too. So fun fact about the small lake, there was a movie made about a group of young boys who were on the lake when it was frozen, which you're not supposed to do. And one of the boys actually broke through the ice. And he was underwater for, I want to say more than 10 minutes. It might have been even close to 20 minutes, and he survived. So they actually made a Hollywood movie called Breakthrough about that event. And I was working in the Lake St. Louis area at that time, and I remember vividly this young boy falling in because it was on the small lake right across from the CA building.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that was about Lake St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. And it's got the misconception that the lakes are dirty. They're not dirty. They're just mud bottom lakes. These are man-made lakes and they're mud bottom. So that's why they appear brown. It's not because they're dirty per se. The water's tested. You can find those test results online. On the large lake, there's also more marinas. So there's currently a wait list. If you don't live on the lake, meaning if you don't have shoreline or waterfront, you can't have a dock. However, they're not really public docks, they're CA docks that are owned by the community association. If you have a boat and you don't have a waterfront and you want to get a dock, you can get on the wait list to get one of the docks at one of the CA marinas.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
That's how you're supposed to do it. There's tricks, but we'll talk about the tricks.
Tricks that break the rules.
Yeah. So there's many marinas. The majority of them are on the large lake. They also have a really cool spot called Jefferson Point, which is where, because the lake is bigger and you can have bigger boats, that's also where you can have your ski boat. So our ski club has shows that come off of Jefferson Point, which is right there at Highway 40 in Dauphine and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. It's right there. But there's a little beach there. They just remodeled this whole place. There's a beach. There's a spot where you can let your boats in. And this is where the ski club has their shows. Our ski club is fantastic. They've won awards. There's some rules that are common to both lakes. So both lakes, you have to have any boat that you're using on the lakes must be registered. Anybody operating the boat has to have passed the boater safety class. You can have a dock on either lake if you live on the waterfront, meaning on the shoreline, but your dock cannot be more than 30% of your actual shoreline, and you're only allowed to have one dock per waterfront lot. Neither lake allows personal watercraft, which is like jet skis, self-propelled little sea scooters, or propelled paddle boards. You cannot operate any personal watercraft that's motorized, and then you have to be 18 or over or supervised by a driver that's 18 or over if you're operating a boat on the lakes. Both lakes operate in a counterclockwise position when you're boating, but that pretty much is it as far as commonality between the two lakes. Well, the association fee is the same. You can fish in both lakes, but because the small lake is quieter, has a slower speed limit, it's widely known as the better fishing lake. You have to have a license to fish on the lakes. But a lot of people who are kayakers or paddle boarders or just want to kind of float around, they will use the small lake. And there's several access points on the small lake where you can just let yourself in. You can go to the CA, which is the Clubhouse CA. You can go to Guyan Park, or you can go just off of Savoy. There's spots where there's benches and you can just let yourself right in the lake there. You don't see as much of kayaking, paddleboarding, just floating around on the big lake, because that's where you'll find the people with the water skiers or the bigger pontoon boats. Both lakes, in my opinion, are fairly safe because they don't have the personal watercraft. They don't have the giant speed boats.
Speaking of the Little Lake too, that's where the clubhouse is actually located. So the clubhouse is on Lake St. Louise. It looks out over the lake. So if you're going to an event there, or just, you want to hang out by the pool, the beach, or in the summertime, all of that happens on the small lake because that's where the clubhouse is physically located. It's like 18,000 square feet. There's a lot of stuff you can do in there. So with that fee, what you get is you get access to the lakes. If you want to go boating, if you want to go out on the lake with friends and family, you get access to the clubhouse, which is basically the social center for Lake St. Louis. You get access to all the social events happening at the clubhouse. That's kind of the basic of what you get access to with that $600 per year living in the CA.
And that fee gives you access to all the amenities. However, there are costs associated with some of the other amenities. And you can buy an amenities pass, which is for the pool, the golf course, pickleball, tennis. The information's on their website, but there's an amenities pass that you can get that gives you access to like a bundle of the amenities. It's not very expensive, like $175 to $200 for a family. There's actually like ballrooms in the clubhouse that you can rent if you're having a reception, a shower, things of that nature. And then there is a big restaurant. The food is very good there. I know a lot of people love that little bar. It's got a fireplace in there. The Mother's Club hosts Pictures with Santa in there. And when you walk in, just off the restaurant is a huge deck that overlooks like the two pools, because there is a big pool and then there's like a kiddie pool. And then you've got the beach out in front of those pools. And then that deck just overlooks the small lake. It's a really nice clubhouse.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
You can also, at the CA Clubhouse, you can rent a kayak or little sailboards. And if you have an amenities pass, I think that's free. They just repaved these courts. There's 4 of them. So now there are tennis and pickleball courts. Also, just off the clubhouse, you'll find our par 3 9-hole golf course, which is a super fun course if you are a average or below golfer. If you're young or inexperienced, you can also rent a golf cart there. It's super fun.
Yeah, so that's the smaller golf course, like good for beginners, good for anyone like myself who's not very skilled at golf. And then you have Lake Forest, which is the larger, much more well-known, well-maintained golf course.
Lake Forest Country Club is actually a private course, but a fun fact, if you live in the CA, you can golf at Lake Forest Country Club. So you just go in there, you show them your amenities pass, and you can actually golf there.
Another hidden perk of living within the CA.
Another hidden perk.
There's all these little benefits and all these little things that you get from living in the CA, and whether it appeals to you or not, there's all these things, and you just get to kind of pick what you want. If you're really into golf, you can take advantage of that. If you're more into the social scene, all the clubs, all the classes and stuff that people will do, there's a lot you get by living in the CA. It's just a matter of how you want to spend your time and what appeals to you the most.
It's funny because I tell people, especially people who aren't familiar with Lake St. Louis, and they want to know about the community. I had a client who was looking at a house and she was from another state, and she said, how do I make friends here? And I said, you kind of have to try not to make friends. Everybody knows everybody. It's a tight-knit community. If you go to the clubhouse, everybody knows everybody. And if you're new and you don't know everybody, you'll leave with a new friend. If you have a hobby or a pastime, if you paint, if you bird watch, if you have a pontoon boat, if you have a sailboat, if you fish, you will find like-minded people because there's a club for it. I don't know how many clubs there are, but they're also on the website. I've had a lot of clients who are buying second homes in Lake St. Louis, but there's a lot of people that don't live on the lake full time, and they just don't want to drive to Lake of the Ozarks anymore, or it's too busy or it's too crowded, and they want to go. It's only 30 minutes from Chesterfield. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Lake St. Louis is definitely more of a unique community in St. Charles County just because of the lakes, the lifestyle, everything that goes along with that makes it a different market compared to areas around it like Wentzville and O'Fallon. And the thing that some people have asked us too is, about is it more of a vacation town or is it more people that live there full time? And I feel like most people live there full time. And in fact, what makes Lake St. Louis different from Lake of the Ozarks outside of the size of the lake and distance to and from St. Louis is that you cannot do short-term rentals in Lake St. Louis. If you're trying to lease your home for less than 6 months, you can't do that. So they have rules like this specifically in place so that it's not like a vacation town. You have people who live here full-time, whether they live there and they own their home or if they're signing a lease. It's got to be at least a 6-month lease, so you can't do any Airbnbs if you live in Lake St. Louis.
I changed that rule a few years ago when Airbnbs became a big thing. So I used to own rental property in Lake St. Louis, and one of the draws when you're getting tenants, you can assign your amenities to your tenant, as long as, of course, you have that long-term lease. There's paperwork that you have to fill out, but that gives your tenants the ability to enjoy the amenities while they're leasing your property. But yes, all leases have to be 6 months or longer.
Yeah, that's a really good point because when people ask us about if they're renting in Lake St. Louis, if you get lake rights, it depends because the landlord is basically who gets to decide that. And if you're looking at an apartment complex, none of that's going to be in the CA. So if you're renting in the CA, it's going to be either a villa, townhome, or a house in the CA because you're not going to see those apartment complexes within the CA boundaries.
Correct. And there is actually a subdivision. It's called Harbortown. So if you have a condo or a unit, and there's condos and townhouses, and there's actually homes on the other side. But if you have a condo or a townhouse in Harbortown that you're leasing out, there's actually docks. Harbortown has their own docks. If there's one available, your tenants, if you assign them your amenities, you could also assign them your dock, not give them.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to own a rental property.
Yeah. Good point.
For long-term rentals, not short-term.
Long-term rentals, not short-term. Yeah. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. If you have any other questions about Lake St. Louis or the amenities, get in touch with us. If you're moving to Lake St. Louis, if you're interested in buying a home, send us an email or send us a text. We'd love to work with you on that. We are a group of realtors. We love helping people find their perfect fit in Lake St. Louis, and we will see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. I'm Kelly.
I'm Jacob.
Peace out.